What's up, all you horror movie loving fuckers? Welcome back to another episode of Fright Flick Fuck Mary Kill. And on this week's episode, very special episode, we have the honor and privilege to be sitting here with a new friend of mine, Matt Schmidt. Matt Schmidt, welcome to the shit show, man.
How you doing, Jay? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and hey, you reached out to me. If anybody, y'all don't know, you all know, family. If you listen, if you're part of this, we are big fans of independent horror here. Love it. And anytime I get a chance to have somebody on here who writes, directs, produces, I that's an honor for me. And that's what you do, Matt. That's what you do.
Correct. Well, I'm trying. I'm trying my best.
Hey, for somebody, because I always give credit all the time, because when it comes, I don't have that thing in my head that lets me be able to have a thought and can put something out there. And so I always find it so cool and amazing, people who like write movies, write music, anything like that. That is just it's something that's cool to me, and that impresses me, and I'm a big fan of it. And so that's why I'm just like, it's super cool. Like when you to reached out to me, and you're talking about your new movie that had just came out, and I was like, hell yeah, another somebody who's into that does the independent stuff. I'm super excited to have you on here, man.
Well, I'm excited myself, and thank you. It's an honor. It really is.
And so, we had talked a little bit before, and what I want you to do is this is where I call everybody my Fright Flick family out there. This is where I want you to let the family get to know you. What you about. Yeah. I just want the floor to be yours. I want the family. I need y'all to pay attention. Grab your drinks, pull up your chairs, and everybody gather around the table. And we all gonna get to know Matt right now. Matt, go ahead, brother.
Okay. Wow. All right. I guess I do have the floor here. Where to begin? Um, I guess I'll just not bore you with all the details of my life, but I'll keep it very movie centric. I grew up very much a movie fan, and not just horror, all genres. I love movies. I can appreciate the deepest of dramas, the biggest superhero movies, the I can appreciate movies that are considered lowbrow. I can, I can, whatever the movie is, I can put myself in the mindset to watch it. So whether I'm watching Friday the 13th, Part 6, which, by the way, happens to be my favorite of the series, or if I'm watching Silence of the Lambs, the most
Mm.
acclaimed version of horror, Oscar worthy horror, I will appreciate a movie on its level. And growing up, going to the movie theaters was an experience for me that you just get immersed in a world. And when I grew up, um, movie theaters used to crank the volume, and it was just an experience, a sensory overload, which just you truly escaped from reality for, let's just call it, roughly 2 hours. And so whether I was watching Jaws in the theater as a re-release, because I was a little too young when it first came out, but as a re-release, or if I was watching when I went to see when I was when it was originally released, The Empire Strikes Back,
Mm.
and the screen just seemed enormous to me, and just everything just encompassed me. Or when I first saw that Superman symbol pop up in the opening credits of the 1978 Superman film, it just, there's this swell in you. So I've always been fascinated by the magic of movies and where they can bring you, and the emotions that they can invoke in you. So as I grew older, and in the era I grew up in, it would be very difficult for a quote unquote outsider of Hollywood to um, make films. You would go through the normal process of going through film school or submitting your screenplay to agencies or whatever the case may be. Um, but with technology now being the way it is, it has opened the world to people that if you take a little time to try to learn the craft, and you bring your own love of movies. And if you can somewhat, what I like to tell my friends is understand the language of movies. Like I love music, but I cannot understand the language of music at all. I have no clue how they get from the intro to the bridge to the chorus. I know what I like and I know what sounds good, but I can't understand that language. Movies, I understand the language a little better. Like I can see, okay, this shot type of shot should be here, or this type of shot should be there, or this music swell should go with this scene. So understand combining my love, my understanding of the language, and the technology that's now available to pretty much anyone out there. I just, not to bore you, but I'm a person who hates regrets.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to go through my whole life not trying and delving into something I absolutely love. And when it comes to entertainment, there is no higher love for me
Mhm.
than cinema. Um, so that's a little bit of a background on me and why I wanted to do this.
And I always like to ask this question though. What was your first horror movie? The very first one that just that
That's that's actually an easy one, and I personally told John Carpenter this story when I met him at a convention in 2014. Um, when I was 6 years old, I'll never forget. It was the 1981 NBC broadcast of the original Halloween.
Oh wow.
And my older brother and my older cousin thought it would be hilarious to sit me down as a 6 year old and force me to watch. Of course, my parents were out or something, so they took advantage. Forced me to watch every frame, and I was both scarred and in love for life
Yeah.
because I had reoccurring nightmares about Michael Myers for, oh god, years to come after that. But at the same time, it's almost like my love for Jaws. I'm
Mhm.
terrified and I still go in the water and I'm always looking around, but yet I'll sit down. Not only will I watch Jaws and Jaws 2, but I'm a Shark Week addict.
Mhm.
So it's like it's almost like a fascination and fear at the same time. But it was the original Halloween was my first horror movie.
Yeah. For me, it was the original Poltergeist.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes. And it came out with 85, 86.
82, I
Is it
believe.
there? Okay. And I remember to this day, I was at my aunt's house and they had bought they had rented the VHS. And
Okay.
and I remember when it started, it's I forget I couldn't have been 9 or 10, maybe 76. Yeah, I was young. And I remember it scaring the shit out of me. And I remember hiding behind her couch and peeking around the couch watching it. And that thing just it stuck with me. I remember going home that night, laying in my bed. We had this tree outside of our damn front of our house. And through the windows and the curtains, you could see it when it would the wind would blow in that tree. And man, that thing. And I tell people now, like recently, it's been a few months ago, I actually did a show on that on Poltergeist and had to rewatch it. And it's been a long time since I'd rewatched it. And it was crazy to me at like 48 years old. And when I'm watching it again, and it was like it still had it, man. It still did something to me to where it was like when that dude peels his face off, I'm still sitting there like, holy shit, man. Like it was, yeah, that's such a good because I was late to the like you started like young. I was late to the horror thing, like really late because we grew up, real religious growing up. My mom was like, you're not watching none of that stuff. And so I didn't recently get into horror till probably maybe a little over 2 years ago. And
Okay.
I've always have watched horror movies here and there. Just, the newest thing that was out, when the Screams came out, the Saws came out, I'd watch that stuff. But my younger brother is a diehard horror, for years. And I hit him up one day. I'm like, hey man, I said, give me some ideas to some horror stuff to watch, and he opened up the curtain on stuff that, I had no clue, never heard of. And it just set me down a rabbit hole. And then I can't get enough. Now it's like a drug. And I love it. And
It's an extremely addictive and alluring genre. And it's another thing I've discussed with friends recently. It seems to be the only genre that I can think of that has so many subgenres to it.
yeah. What's your favorite subgenre?
Oh, I wish I had a good answer for that.
I don't have one either, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably just give you my top. I think it would be easier for me to go with my just like top five horror movies because I do love all subgenres for their own reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, there's an appeal to each one of them, and it's another thing that I am a big fan of, and I learned this when I first took up screenwriting. One of the first lessons they told me is no matter what film you're making, make it primal. But there's nothing more, there might not be a better example of primal than the horror genre.
Hmm.
So if you take Jaws, which is, in my opinion, probably the greatest film ever made of any genre, um, and you take that opening scene alone, the reason it is so effective is because it hits two primal chords immediately. It is the fear of being eaten, which is an extreme, primal chord from our DNA from, caveman days,
Hmm.
to the fear of the dark, because you can't see what's going on beneath the surface. And as a child, which was a big inspiration for Sandman, that fear of the dark. When you look into the dark, your mind actually starts putting things in there, even when they're not. So if you're talking about dark water under the surface and you can't see what's going on, your mind is filling in what's going on, and it's a lot more terrifying than
Yeah.
showing you exactly what's going on. So
Yeah.
when you hit those primal chords, it makes everything so effective. And horror, when done right, hits those primal chords, knocks them out of the park.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. It is, um, I'm a fan of a movie that just makes me, and I like, when it comes to horror, I go from a lot of underground stuff, like really hardcore type horror stuff, and I'm a fan of it all. I tell everybody I'm a gore whore. Like those are probably some of my favorites. Is just the hardcore stuff. I love them. But, I like a movie that can make me just feel, it's just, it's like this uneasy, just, you just don't feel right watching it. And,
Right.
and then, and I like a movie that can almost kind of like, and that's exactly what we're about to talk about, your movie, The Sandman, because it 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 did something that I haven't come across a lot of movies that take me back to that childhood feeling of that, the dark, and being scared, like you said, of not knowing, and I like a movie that just makes me feel uncomfortable. There's something about it. Like, some people don't like horror, and I think that's what it is. They don't like that feeling that it takes them to. And for me,
Right.
I like that. Like, it's a drug. Like, I like that feeling of being like, why do I feel this way right now? Or, whether it be something that could be gross me out, like some hardcore kill scene or whatever, and that's just nasty or whatever. I love it. But then you give me something simple as turning the light out and looking up a stairway, and I'm right back to the little kid. Holy shit. And so, but yeah, I just I'm like you. I love the way that the horror movies can just take you places and make me feel different. Like, I can watch. I'm like you. I love movies, comedies, romance. I like them all, and like, but for like comedy gives me that ha ha ha. The romance stuff, it's just, but horror, man, can just there's something different where it can take you to, and the way it can make you feel. And
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'm so glad you picked up on what I was trying to achieve with Sandman is to hit those childhood fears. Because with Sandman, it was the idea behind it was that childhood fear of the dark. And I said, okay, when I first wanted to start making this, one of the first thoughts I had was, well, either everyone is a child or was a child at some point in their life. So, and it doesn't matter what gender, race, culture, background you come from, every child has a fear of the dark.
yeah,
So I knew it would be, at least on that level, a universal theme. And I think, but if I were to expand on the appeal of horror in general, I would almost compare it to a roller coaster because you're getting the thrill, you're getting the fears, but you at the same time you're watching a movie, so you know you're safe.
yeah.
So it's fun fear. So you're afraid, and I think the last movie to do it to me was Hereditary. Um, you feel a fear, but you're so you're safe, so it's okay to feel that fear. So it's just like a roller coaster. It's fearful in a way, especially that initial climb up the first hill
Oh yeah.
because you're the anticipation, but you're safe, so it's a fun fear.
Yes. And leading into the Sandman. Um when did and this is family when paying I know you all paying attention right now. This is your latest kind of like a full length type movie.
Well, yeah, I mean it's 36 minutes.
What
So
really?
yeah,
I didn't even
so
look
I
at and see that's one thing I like. I watched it and didn't even realize
yeah, I'm
time.
I'm actually glad you got lost in it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I
But
just
yeah,
thought it
with
was like
with
longer.
36 minutes, this was my first attempt at cinematic style horror.
Okay.
Up until now, I've only done found footage style horror, and the reason being is because I felt that with found footage, I could get my feet wet in filmmaking, and I think it's a great. It I don't want to call it easy because that's just the wrong word, but it is a great way to learn and it's a great way to grow as a filmmaker. But I it can't say it's easy because it's extremely hard making those scary as well.
Yeah.
I would say the only thing harder in cinema than to scare people is probably comedy. Comedy might be the only thing that's harder to do. And I admire a good, well written comedy. I'm so in awe of it. But so with Sandman, it was the first cinematic style. And what I mean by that is with found footage, you can kind of let the camera run for 5 minutes and someone's walking around and you don't have to worry about cuts or anything.
Mm-hmm.
With traditional cinema style, if you watch any movie and you just watch 60 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
for your audience out there, go count how many different shots are in that 60 seconds. It's going to be roughly a dozen. Now, with each of those shots, you have to set up angle, lighting, multiple takes, sound. I mean, the technical side of it just jumps up tenfold for cinema versus found footage. So the 36-minute film had, I think it was roughly 250 shots. So it it was very much a challenge even to get 36 minutes out. So
And that's one of the things that why I'm such a fan of the independent type stuff. Because people, you all listening right now, hey, independents don't have a big ass fucking crew that does all the legwork for them, that does everything. They don't have that. I feel sure Matt gets done. Him and you don't you have a like a it's not just you, is it?
No, it's not just me. I have a friend, my producer, Brandon Berkeley,
Okay.
who is an invaluable right hand man.
Okay.
But a lot of times, and sometimes we'll have other friends come in and help and stuff, but a lot of times it is just the two of us behind the camera,
Yeah.
running the show. And that can be extremely challenging because you're right. I don't have a big crew, one doing lighting, one doing makeup, one doing cinematography. It is challenging and difficult. But because we share a love of it,
Mhm.
it does, really make it all worthwhile.
Yeah. And before we jump into the Sandman, because I want to go to your the challenge. That your first like, found footage?
No, my first found footage was a feature length found footage called Happy Birthday Hannah, um, which I shot. And then we moved on to a second one called Tales of Found Footage, which was kind of like a Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt thing. And it had three individual stories. So when we did those, and they were roughly a half hour piece. So when we did those three individual stories, the challenge, all the reviews we were getting were the same. They're like, well, I liked story number two, or some people would say I like story number three better, but everybody universally loves story number one, which was the challenge.
Okay.
So when the pandemic hit and there really wasn't much to do, one of my friends suggested to me, he said, hey, why don't you just release the challenge solo on YouTube and just let it exist on its own, since it's clearly the consensus universally, a thumbs up, without the other two movies, to being a somewhat of a distraction. I said, all right, so I did that, and the response was overwhelmingly positive when you're watching just the challenge alone.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
so
I just
that
watched that today. The challenge today. I watched it. And that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it.
fire.
Because it and for me, like my brother who does the show with me, huge found footage fan. Loves
Okay.
them. Me, not a fan of found footage. I've watched a lot of them, because if it's horror, I'm going to watch it. But found footage just has never been a thing for me. And, and I still remember, all the way back to the what was the one in the woods?
Blair Witch Project.
That one. And so even when like, Blair Witch, and then I was more of a fan of the what's one they made like four or five of it? Paranormal.
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, I was a bigger fan of those than I was like the Blair Witch stuff. But the found footage to me, it just there were certain things I would get aggravated when I would watch certain found footage movies. And and so when I started watching the challenge, and maybe it's different now because now when I watch a found footage, they can use a cell phone, and which they were using. And
Yes.
one thing that bugs me with older ones is they're holding that old VHS, whatever type of, and I'm just kind of I get bugged by noises, certain noises and bother me. And so when I'm
Okay.
watching the found footage and I'm hearing that rattling sound of the camera, that thing just gets under my skin. It will almost make me not be like, I don't want to watch this anymore unless they can quiet that camera down. And so when they were using the cell phone thing is it makes it so much better. It's quiet, you know, and I'm not sure who the two ladies were who played the girls in it, but those two were good. To you would have thought they were just like really like best friends in real life. I don't know, maybe they are.
Yeah. It's they were actually two separate actresses, had never met before the film.
Wow.
And the opening scene is the first night we shot with them.
Mhm.
And one of my friends brings this up as one of his favorite parts of movies is cast chemistry.
Mhm.
And you want to talk about instant chemistry. you would have thought they were best friends for years. I
Yeah.
mean, they not only hit it off on a personal level, but they just gelled.
Yeah.
Found footage tends to use a lot of improv.
Mhm.
So I would give them a few key points to hit. Because if you try to script found footage, because the whole purpose of found footage is to look intentionally raw, intentionally amateur. Well, if you're amateur, you're not going to be giving scripted lines that much. So I said, look, here's a few key points you have to hit, but I want you guys to have fun with it. You're two teenage girls, you're in your bedroom, you're talking about this internet challenge you're going to take up, run with it. And they just nailed it. And the chemistry was just so natural that when me and my producer Brandon walked out of that for filming that first night, we're like, yeah, we got it. We
Yeah.
got it.
And I was like, when I'm watching them, I'm like, they're really good together. And, even when, and here's the thing that, like I mentioned earlier, there are certain times a movie is just can make you kind of get lost in the time. The challenge is only like 26 minutes,
Correct.
and it felt so much longer, and not in a bad way. That's not a bad way. It is. I remember I'm watching it, and I had it on my computer, and I happened to move the mouse, and I seen the time that was left, and I was like, "What?" I feel like I've been sitting here for 45 minutes already because it was intense, and it was the hotel or wherever that was that you used.
Yep.
Everything about that thing was sexy. Like it was,
Yes.
and for me, it had that like that feel like when I watched The Shining and them long hotels and that old school kind of just and that whatever one you used, it had that with that the old wallpaper, the old carpet, the and it was sexy to me. I liked it. And
Yeah.
one of the first things when I got up in there, I'm a huge fan of a record player. I love vinyl. I love listening.
The phonograph.
Yeah. And so when they get up on that thing, I'm just like, and they're talking about it, I'm watching it and I'm going, I hope that thing just starts playing at some point. You know, because when I seen it, I was like, oh, I just want to hear that thing just kick off at any moment. And yeah, for it to only been, like I said, it felt so much longer than the 26 minutes because it just, and that's one thing about a found footage sometimes is I like it where it makes you feel like you're there with them, where it's like you're sitting there, that one part where the girl goes to check into the bedroom. She opens the door and you see down the hallway that lady in the white dress.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm watching it. And when you see that camera shot and you can see her down the hallway, I'm just kind of like, I'm talking to my own damn computer. And I'm like, turn your head, turn. And I was like, and I'm not a fan of found footage, but damn it, that one took me somewhere. I was there with them two girls. And like I said, the hotel thing, that was nice. I liked it, and it's one of the things when this all goes up on social media and everything, I want to be able to I want to drop all the links to this one or whatever else you want me to drop. But yeah, the challenge, I liked it, man. It was so clean. I didn't hear no raggedy ass cameras clicking around and that old VHS recording type shit stuff. And it was creepy, and it makes you, like we talked about earlier, a movie that just kind of makes you feel a certain way. It's just it was creepy, and I liked it, man. If hey, I told you earlier we rate them on fuck, marry, or kill. That alone, that 26 minutes is definitely a fuck because I will be telling other people, hey, watch this. Go check this out, and because it was very well done, man. Like
Thank you. Thank you
somebody
very
who
much.
normally bashes found footage stuff. I enjoyed it. That was, and probably the biggest surprise when I looked at the time, I'm like, man, why do I feel like I've been sitting here trapped in this hotel with these girls for like 45 minutes, you know.
Well, that's just a great compliment that it's a subgenre that you're not usually a fan of and you enjoyed it. So thank you for that. That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
As far as the hotel is concerned, basically as soon as I walked in there, I got the same exact feel, The Shining. It it screams that ambiance, and we leaned into it. I said we're not going to shy away from the fact that this is The Shining looking. We're going to lean into it. So we actually named the characters after with their last names after characters from The Shining, as a little Easter egg, a little homage to The Shining. So yeah, it was, again, when we put out Tales of Found Footage, that story just jumped out at everybody, and I was like, okay, there's, you never know what's going to land on an audience,
Yeah.
and that landed the right way. It hit at the right time, and it hit. I'm sorry, it hit it the right way, and it hit at a time when internet challenges were big.
Yeah.
So it was. We released that in 2019, so that was like the right time.
Yeah, it was a good one. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it was is I still can't get over the fact that the whole time thing is still right now, it threw me. Like I still remember sitting here when I hit my mouse and I looked at that little bar running across, and I'm sitting there going, "What?" Like, no, this has not been 20 something minutes. But it was, yeah, I enjoyed it. And but yeah, and I'm glad that I got the record player and the little phonograph kicked off in it. When that thing
Yes,
started, I'm like,
it
oh
did
hell
eventually kick off for you.
yeah. I was like, here we go. And but yeah, everything about it was, and I liked it that it didn't go overboard with the little creepy moments when the like the one part I really liked was where the whole time I'm just wanting old girl just to dart down them stairs. Like, just your girl's gone. Just book it and get out of
Take
there.
off.
And then when she gets down there to the stairs, and that one part where you see the lady's hand coming up the stair rail, and
Yep.
making that little sound that she was making, and you felt the fact that there was nowhere for old girl to go, and she just had like this having to go somewhere and just try to hunker down in this one room or corner or whatever of just
Yep.
this feeling like you felt it, like we knew, like you're not gonna make it. You felt bad for her, like it's over for you, girly. But yeah, that was I enjoyed it, and like I said, for a found footage hater like I usually am, I enjoyed it. And but so now, we're going to get into the Sandman. Um, and we had mentioned it earlier, kind of like where when I watched it, and I was not expecting to I wasn't expecting to go back to my childhood, damn it, when I watched this thing. Because like you said, at some point we were all little kids. We've all been in those moments to where you fall asleep and everybody else done went to bed. You
Yep.
and and I know for a fact, like the house I lived in growing up didn't have no stairs or nothing like that. But the way and even my younger brother has mentioned it, the way the house was set up, the bathroom was like in the middle of the hallway, bedrooms on one end of the house, my bedroom's on the other end. And there was just something about when you flip that bathroom light out, going down that hallway back to the room where you thought and felt like something was behind you. And all you wanted to
Absolutely.
do was get in the room and flip the light on or something, you know. And that's what with the Sandman, and I'm not sure you could tell us the name, the lady that's sitting in the chair.
Oh, sure. Sure. Her real name is Sherry Hoffman. She's actually also, it's funny because we filmed that, and then a couple months later she showed up on national commercials. She was Medicare Martha.
Oh wow.
So if you ever see the Medicare Martha commercials, that's Sherry Hoffman.
Yeah. And she was a creepy grandma, damn it. Like,
Oh, she was great.
yeah,
She was
and
great.
because when it starts and you got the her mom's on the couch like on her iPad, little girls watching the cartoons, and people can say what they want to. Cartoons back in those types of cartoons was creepy as hell. Like,
That's what I thought too. That's why
yeah,
I chose it.
yeah. Those cartoons will warp you up, man, as a kid's mind, because that shit was like, even the one you had showing where it like throws the body into the mouth of that thing. And I'm just sitting there like, they let kids watch this shit back in the day, you know? And then even like when the mom gets up and like she's going to bed, and she tried to tell the little girl, like, hey, like, don't stay up, you need to go to bed, you know. And then the next thing you know, creepy grandma turns around and puts the fear of God, I would think, into her, to where it's like, okay, grandma, I'm going to bed right now. Like, I'm shutting everything down and we're going to bed. Matter of fact, grandma, let's just walk down the hallway together. Let me help you with the walker to get down the hallway, and the whole little line, the way the grandma's talking, the voice and everything was just creepy. Like, it made me want to just go to bed right then. Like, I'm watching, I'm like, you know what? It's my bedtime now. Shit, grandma, you've got me ready to go night night. And so, and then where it really started kind of taking me back to that feeling was where she wakes up in the middle of the night. Everybody's in bed. The TV's kind of done its thing, and it's time for her to go to go to bed. And then she gets to them stairs, man. And
Ugh.
And the funny story with the stairs is my house didn't have stairs growing up, but when I was probably, I don't know, I wasn't even old enough to drive, 13 or 14 maybe. A friend of ours, he cleaned the church that we all went to growing up, and every Saturday he would go up there and he would clean the church, like vacuum floors, get everything ready for that Sunday, and I would go with him to go help him clean. And it was like a two level. Like, the upstairs was the main church area, and then the downstairs was like where all the Sunday school rooms were. It looked like no windows because it's down like in a basement type, but it wasn't a basement. But it was just like pitch black. When you go down there, like all the lights out, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And so we would go in there, and he'd be like, I'll start vacuuming upstairs. You go downstairs and do the vacuuming. And I remember going down there, and when I would get down there, I'm literally flipping all the lights on. It was just, first off, it's a church, and then it's like down there, complete darkness. So I'm flipping all the lights on. And I remember actually doing it. When I would get done vacuuming and doing whatever, the far end of that building, there was a door that went outside. And I'd always have to make sure that was locked. And then I had to come back down the hallway and then get the lights out. Well, it was every time it was a sprint for me. Like, when I hit that last light and I had to get to where the stairs were, and it was dark behind you. And I
Yep.
remember, like, in the Sandman, when she's looking up them stairs and it's like dark, and once again, it took me right back to the little kid in the daggum church basement sprinting to get to them stairs, because it was like how in the movie, in newer houses now, there's a light switch. I can flip the light on from down here, and I can flip it off when I get up there. And that's the way my house here that I have now. They didn't have that, the beauty of that, even in the movie and in the church. There was one light
Yep.
switch, damn it. And like when she had to hit that light switch, and because I was just like, when I first seen her stairs, I was just like, I'll flip the lights on and turn it back off when you get up there. And then it showed it on the wall, one light switch. I'm like, oh shit, this old girl's got to get up them stairs. And one thing before, the little girl, is that your daughter?
It is. It is my
Okay,
youngest daughter. Yep.
okay, well, very well. What was her
Thank
name?
you. Her real name is Haley.
Haley. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
very very well. And yeah, when the stair part was like, and then I felt so bad when she gets to the top of the daggum stairs and she looks at her hands. And when I sit and look at her hands, I was like, I'm talking to the damn TV, and I'm just like, where's the bunny? I'm like, where's the bunny? And then it's down the stairs. I'm like, holy shit, this old girl got to go back down them stairs. And it's crazy, like you said earlier, your mind, you will start seeing some shit because when I remember
Absolutely.
being young, after watching Poltergeist and shit like that, to where I see something in a dark room and I look at it, if I stare at it long enough, there's something there, damn it.
Yep, it's
You
you're
know?
gonna see movement. Your
Yeah.
mind's gonna fill in things, and it just again, it just it's it's like you said earlier when you were talking about like like gore versus simple, and
Yeah.
sometimes simple because you're like gore. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love gore,
Mhm.
but it's right there,
Yeah.
and you just see it, and like your mind doesn't have to go anywhere. It's like, oh, here's the gore, you know.
Yep.
Whereas the dark, that's it. Your mind could go anywhere, you know. And if you take the original Halloween versus the sequels, I think that's what made the original so. And by the way, this is not a bashing of the sequels. I love the sequels for their own reasons, but the original Halloween I felt was so much more effective because there were open doors, open windows, shadows, and you never knew when he was going to appear. And you're always like looking in the dark. You're like, where? Where is he going to pop up? And it's that anticipation that engages the audience.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I recently just watched a movie and it kind of had that uh the oddity. That's the most recent one I've watched. And it had a lot of that kind of like that darkness that but yeah, when I'm watching the Sandman, it's that. It's like a movie that can make you feel a certain kind of way and not really have to show you a whole lot.
Right.
And that's what it did because even when she finally makes it upstairs, because after the poor girl had to go back down there for the bunny, you know, I was feeling bad for her. I was just like, you know, and she finally gets to her room and does her prayers and stuff, gets into bed. And then that first shot where she looks over there and she's looking at the floor and you see, cause damn it, I seen something. I know something was there. You know, I'm
Yeah.
looking at it. I'm like, you right, little girl. There is something there. It's time to go get mama, damn it. And so, and one thing I did like is I liked how the like as a kid growing up, it was just something about if if you just get to where mama's at or where daddy's at, it just made it was just better. It was, you know, and it showed that I liked it. It had that in the movie where she gets the shit scared out of her, runs down the hallway, and it's like she gets into bed with mama, and it was like that, you know, instant relief. It's just that instant, like, you know, no matter what, I'm good now. I'm good now, you know,
Right. Yeah,
and
and that's something that as a kid, I used to sleepwalk,
mm,
and I would end up on the inside, but all the way at my front door. And I would wake up and screaming, and just terrified and so shook, and it, would take my mom some time to calm me down. But the second she would let me squeeze in bed between my mom and dad, everything was instantly better. And you just felt protected because you were like sandwiched between the two.
yeah, exactly.
And it, I was aiming to capture that, like that instant comfort that you felt with your parents. So I'm really glad you picked up on that.
Yeah, and then as quick as I felt good for her because she's there with mom and daddy, she's okay now. Next thing I know, I felt I felt bad when mama was like, "You're gonna go back to bed." And this old girl, she is begging. Like she's like, Mama, no, like I don't let me just stay in your room tonight. And I'm sitting there like, damn it, mama, take her, let her stay with you. Shit, she's upset, you know. And and then she has to go back to bed. And the mom, is like, you want me to stay here with you till you fall asleep thing. And then it got really creepy when mom went off the bed. I was like, that don't look right. Like the way mama went off the bed, you know, and next thing you know, the little girl, man, the little music box thing, I'd have threw that damn thing out the window. About the second time it went to playing this little music, I'd have been like, all right, you gotta go. And yeah, and it was just everything about it just had me because it was like, like we talked about earlier, the gory type stuff is stuff you watch it and you'd be like, okay, that's far fetched. It's not, I know that's fake. I know it's real. But being that scared kid in a bed where you think you hear something, you think you see something, and that pulling the daggum blanket over your head, and nothing builds scared anticipation in a movie to where somebody gets under a daggum bed sheet and you can't see shit. Because I'm sitting there, as soon as the bed sheet comes over the head, I'm just like, to me, that would scare me more. Because I'm just like, for all I know, this thing is like just looking at me right now, right above me, you
Yeah.
know. But oh girl, in this one, mama shows up under the daggum shit with her and like start when she starts pulling her out of bed. And I was just like, she held in there longer than I would have. Little girl hung around longer. She has some fight in her because no, I'd have been back down there like, listen, mama, you got no, you gotta come do something down here because I'm not staying in this room, you know. And that's what the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, this it feels too familiar. I know what this little girl's feeling right now. We've all, and like you said, we've all been there.
Yep.
There's something about the darkness, and that's why to this day, I don't go into, I won't get into water unless it's a swimming pool and I can see the bottom. Like
Yeah.
it's that fear of the unknown.
Exactly.
You're not going to
Exactly.
take me to the ocean and be like, let's go out in the water. You're nuts. I'm not going. I will walk along the beach with you and let the water gently brush my ankles, but that's it, you know. And so yeah, the way Sandman, and I was like that part where she finally got to go to bed with mom and dad, and you're thinking it's all okay. We're good now. We're good. Like you in between mom and dad, everything's good. And then when she wakes up, and then I'm sitting there going, "Damn it, the little girl's had enough. Damn it, she's had enough." But it was, it once again, it's one of the, like we said, it made me feel a certain way that you like it and dislike it at the same time because you enjoy that feeling. But at the same time, you're like, I don't like feeling this way because I remember being that kid. I remember running down a hallway or thinking I see something moving in the floor and and stuff like that. And being going and going down there and waking my dad up because it's kind of like, hey, I need you to come down here. I need you to inspect this room. Something ain't right.
Yep. It's a discomfort, for sure. It's you're uncomfortable, but like I said earlier, because it's a movie, you enjoy it because you know that watching the screen, nothing will actually happen to you. And it's just it's it's that on top of that, it's that childhood relatability. Like you said, we've all been there. And I just, I couldn't agree more. And I'm really glad that you seem to get the point of the whole thing, which was to not only relive those childhood fears, but relate to those childhood fears. And it's, I tried to add in as many little things as I could from my own memory of what would make me feel safer. Like you talked about throwing the blanket over your head. Yeah, it's scary because you don't know what's there, but at the same time, for whatever reason, kids feel safe
Yeah.
under the blankets. So I tried to employ that. Obviously, being with the parents as a safety. Just, and of course, that terrifying journey to get to your bedroom.
Oh,
And me and my coworker were talking about the movie the other day, Mr. Sandman, because he was talking about what, his take on it. And he said to this day, when I'm in my basement and I have to, shut out the light to go up the stairs, he's like, I know nothing's there. I know nothing's there, but I still feel something on the back of my neck right behind me.
yeah.
So it's amazing because we carry that through our lives. We
Yep.
really do. You can't help it. It's there, and that's why it's called a primal fear, because it's not something that even has to make sense. You just know that it's so deep seated, that fear of the dark in our DNA, that there's no way around it. It's like, when you're afraid of the dark, it's the same as, you know, being hungry. There's no way around it. You're eventually going to get hungry. In certain situations in the dark, you may be okay for a few seconds, but if you're there long enough, it's going to creep up on you and you're going to start seeing things. So it's something I knew at minimum. I knew a lot of people. Again, you never can be able to tell if an audience is going to like something or not, but at least I knew I was hitting a relatable topic, a very relatable topic.
That's what I was about to say. Relatable. That's what you took the word right out of my mouth. And and I'm like that. And it's crazy how that, like you said, it sticks with you because in the house right now, I have the ability to flip the light off, flip it on downstairs, get upstairs, flip it, and the light goes out. And that is the only way I go up the stairs. I don't, and I'm not one of those that it's like your friend said when he's down in the basement. I know nothing's there. I
Yep.
know nothing's chasing me up them stairs, but there's just this feeling you get. If I were to flip every light out right now and I had to go up them stairs, and there would be a part of me. I know it's not there, but I'm picking up the pace as I'm going up them stairs. I'm not Sunday strolling up them stairs, you know. And that's one of the things, like while I'm watching it, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, holy shit, man, this is familiar. Like I feel this little girl's pain right now, and yeah, and it was, and I thought it was like a full length type movie. I swear, when you said the length of it, I'm like, no, you're full of shit. No, it is longer than that. I was there with the little girl trying to get up them stairs. The trip up the stairs seemed like it took 20 minutes. I'm just like, come on, why'd she have to drop the little rabbit? Damn it. And I was just like, come on. And then the mom
Well,
scared the shit out of me when mom's up the stairs, you know. And I remember the one part that I was like, when she finally had to go in there and brush her teeth. I would have lied. I'd have been like, yeah, I brushed them. I'm going to my room, damn it. I'd have hit it with some mouthwash real quick and then straight to the bed. Yeah, it was.
yeah, it's funny because to this day, for myself, and I'm sleeping, I can't sleep with a bedroom door open because if I do, I will look down that hallway, the opening to wherever the bedroom door opens into. I will look in that opening and I will see things. So to this day, I need the door shut so that my mind can't play tricks on me.
That's crazy because I'm the type that I will not have my bed positioned to where I can see out that door. Like my bed now is like up against a certain wall and the door's over there. Because it's like for me, I don't want to, I'm just like you said, I don't want to be laying in my bed and can turn and I see down that hallway because I don't believe in that type of stuff, but I know my mind is going to see something. It's going to be like,
Can't can't help it. You
yeah,
can use all the rational thinking you want. You cannot help where your mind goes.
Yeah. And that makes sense because there's a reason why I do not have a bed where I'm looking out a door, you know. And I would be the same way because my door stays open all the time, but it's like because I can't see down it. But I guarantee if I had to, no, I would just get up next day and move my damn bed. I know I would. Like, nope, we're not sleeping like this again. But that's crazy though. Just the oh man, yeah. That the Sandman was it. It took me back to that being the kid at home and being that little kid in the church when I'm sprinting down the hallways because it was just that dark, man. There's just something about it. It just uneasy feeling. And that the
I'm
Sandman
glad.
did such a good job of fucking of doing that.
I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad it landed on you that way. Um, yeah, I mean, again, thank you for that compliment, and thank you for the compliment of feeling in a good way that it was longer than it was.
Yeah.
Because that means that it at least for you it landed in a way that it brought you in uh brought you into the character Zoe's journey,
Yeah.
from the TV room all the way to eventually the bedroom.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Me and Zoe was right there together, up and down them stairs, getting to the bed. I was right there with her where I'm just like, you know what? Open that window and chunk that little music box right out the window. We'll deal with that tomorrow.
I actually, when I was a kid, I threw a Raggedy Andy doll out the window because it freaked me out. So
I would have to do that because it would remind me too much of that little clown from Poltergeist, the original one. No.
exactly, that's where that started for me. The fear of clowns, the fear of dolls, all from that clown and Poltergeist.
Yep. And even now, they don't really bother me. I say that until I had to rewatch Poltergeist. And I'm sitting there with this same little clown that I know is there, and he just creeps me out. And I'm just like, nope, I'd have chunked you in the garbage a long time ago, you know. And but yeah, it's crazy how does some of that stuff though when you as a kid you think back to it. And it is like when that the part that the first time I really it really like when I seen her look off the side of the bed and she seen that shape or whatever in the floor, and instantly I'm like, yep, that shit's true. That happens.
Yeah,
Because I feel like if you were to turn the light off and you stare at something long enough,
it moves.
yeah, no matter
It
what you try to
moves.
tell
Yep,
yourself, there's something happens. Your brain does something, you know.
it does. Your eyes tell you that something's moving.
Yeah. And even to this day, like when I sleep now, I have like a one of those little noise makers and it has the little clock on it. So it's this little bit of light that where my bedroom is never pitch black because I have this little bitty light. If the power goes out, oh hell no, we're getting up. No, the power goes out, the room gets way too quiet, and it's just dark. And instantly, I'm like, no, I got to get out of bed. I can't sleep this way, you know. But that's crazy though. It's just the because I didn't really think about it unless I think about it a lot. I don't really think about it. But then, like the other night here, the power went out, and it's like as soon as it did, it instantly woke me up. And because it's completely silent, I don't have no ceiling fan, nothing. My noise maker, I'm not hearing bubbly waterfalls anymore. My little light on the thing's out, and it is like pitch black and silent. And I'm like, nope, I got it. I can't do it. I find no peace in silence. I don't like it. No, you put me in somewhere where it's dark and just complete silence. I'm gonna start seeing things, and then I'm hearing things.
Yep.
Like nope, something's there. Let me go call daddy.
Just the way our brain fills things in.
It is. But it was I enjoyed it, man. And like I said, it caught me off guard when you actually told me the length of it because I didn't even pay it any attention. And because I was there. Like I'm going up and down them stairs and everything. I'm like, holy shit. But yeah, very well shot, man. Very well done. Everybody
Thank you.
was very good.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, and I felt so bad for her when Mama tried to make her go back to bed. I'm just like, come on. And Mom, what are you doing? Every time you have a certain movies you watch, you always have them ones you pull for sometimes, and you have them ones that you almost have a problem with them. Me and the mama had a problem in that moment right there. I'm just like, okay, mom, I'm not liking it a whole lot right now. You see, this girl is definitely upset right now. And like she's like fighting to go back into like mom and daddy's room. And she just kind of like pulls her back in the room. I'm just like, come on, mom. I don't want to dislike you, mom, but I'm disliking you right now. But yeah, super. It was a lot of fun. And now the Acres film, that's you, right?
Yes, that's my production company. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And where can I want to be able to let you talk about where they can watch the Sandman at?
Well, right now, Sandman is only on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So if they just type in Mr. Sandman horror movie, it'll pop right up, and you'll see the picture, the poster of the little girl basically screaming, surrounded by sand. And it'll yeah, it should pop. It always either pops up the first or the second thing. Sometimes the Michael Myers from Halloween Part Two pops up because they did use the music, the song, the original song by the Chordettes, "Mr. Sandman,"
Mm.
in their intro. So sometimes that pops up first, but if you just type in "Mr. Sandman horror movie," as long as it's not the Michael Myers one, it should pop right up.
Yep. And don't cost you anything, people.
Not a dime.
Free. And this is, and I tell people all the time on the show when I talk about movies, especially independent, I was like, you know, people miss out on a lot by scrolling past it or not giving it a chance, and and that's where some of the movies that I really like a lot, like really like, was because I was just scrolling looking for something to watch and be like, let me just check this out. And then be like, holy shit, man, it's like one of my favorite movies, and I tell people all the time, like, you are missing out if you're not diving into like the independent side of things because there's just so much good stuff out there. And that's why I like, you know, bringing attention to it because of what you all do as far as able to make the movies. Because I tell people all the time when I've talked to people about, like, I call them your babies. Like,
Sure.
that's like, I had Jackie Kelly on here a few weeks ago about her new, and I told her, I was like, tell us about your baby. And that's just because that's how I feel like that's how it gets looked at because so much time, so much effort behind the scenes stuff that people don't realize it goes
Right.
into you get to spend an hour or so watching a movie and that's just it. And you don't realize that some of these things have been in the process for 2 to 3 years. That the work.
Which is about what Sandman took, was roughly 3 years from writing to final cut.
Yeah.
When you're working with a crew of basically two, with, like I said, sometimes a couple extra hands, and you're working around people's schedule that aren't doing this full time. So you have me and my partner Brandon, who works with me. I have to consider his schedule. I have to consider my schedule. I have to consider my wife's schedule because we used our house for the
Mm.
film. I have to consider Haley's schedule because my daughter, because she was actually, she was obviously the main character in the movie. So I have to consider her schedule. So, and like I said before, when you're shooting cinematic style and you have to set up all these different shots, well, a good night, you're getting 5 shots. So now spread that out to 250 shots. You
Wow.
know, a good night, you're getting 5 shots on average. And, it's not always weekends. Sometimes I'll squeeze in a weeknight here, but she has to be in bed by 9, 10 because it's a school night. So that definitely brought time, and scheduling by far was the biggest challenge. So you're right. You don't see all that goes into it. But also with independent horror, like you said, I think you nailed it. You called it our babies, and it's true. The films are our babies, and I'm not I'm not trying to say this doesn't occur elsewhere, like in Hollywood, like big budget productions, because I know filmmakers do take a lot of care. But when it's pretty much all you from inception to completion, you can't help but add a little extra care to it. And I think that's where with independent horror, I think, look, it's like anything other movie genre. Some are good, some are bad, but if nothing else, you're talking about a group of people who are doing things for they all have slightly different motivations. Some people want to make it big, some people just love it. But either way, it's a love of the genre. It's a fan driven industry that has produced some excellent stuff. And, um, you know, when you talk about something like a Terrifier, where Terrifier 3 just took the number one box office, uh, not this past weekend, the weekend before, I believe it was. Um, and that I've I've met the director. I've met Damien, very nice guy, and we have a lot of mutual acquaintances. And to watch that character grow from a very indie level
Yeah.
to now a mainstream box office success is frankly inspiring, and something to be admired. And it's but it started with his love of the genre. And when you have people that truly love a genre, um, and are doing it's basically, it is love letters to horror. That's what we're all doing. We're all writing our own love letters to horror. And it's so hard to deny passion. So even when something is quote unquote cheesy, a
Yeah.
cheesy independent horror film, you still know there's a love behind it. And when you meet these other filmmakers, no matter what level they're at, whether they're a Damien Leone or someone just starting out, they all have the same love for this genre. And
Yeah.
we're all just writing our own love letters and hopefully leaving the world with something that's going to impact them and entertain them. So when I hear like your feedback or other people's feedback, how can I do anything but feel great? Because I'm like, okay, I'm I'm entertaining people. And what greater, compliment is there than to know that you're making someone smile?
Exactly. And yeah, I forget what I was about to say. I just had a brain dump. That happens to me sometimes.
Happens to all of us.
It does. It does. But yeah, it is. And I remember like the very first time I came across like, the Terrifier movie. The very first I came across that thing on Tubi, just scrolling through and seen it, liked the picture, decided to watch it. And it's crazy, then to like now everybody's acting like, it's this new thing. Like, oh, have you seen,
Yep.
I
It's
seen
everywhere.
several years ago when it was like in the beginning, and it's such an awesome thing. That's why on here I like talking about independent. And I always feel bad because when I do the show, like I said, we rate it on Fuck It, Marry or Kill It. Killing it being my worst is like I never want to see it again. And I always feel bad when I do an independent because it's like if it's like a big Hollywood type, I don't mind bashing the shit out of those. I don't care, you know, because there's hundreds of people involved and just somebody, wrote you a check to come up there and direct some shit, whatever, But for the independents, I always like when I watch them, and I've come across, like you said, cheesy and all of that. And it's like when I have to talk about them, it's like there's a part of me that's like, I got to talk shit about it. But at the same time, it's like, me and my brother do it together. And we're just like, hey, you made the movie, kudos. I can't do it. I don't have the ability to do that. And so I appreciate the fact. But even though I'm sitting up here kind of cracking jokes or I make a joke about it and be like, I don't want everyone to see it again, that's just, but I still watch it, and I tell people all the time, when I do shows, there is never a horror movie I talk about or watch that I will never say, don't go watch that. Don't waste your time watching that movie. Because what may be that old saying growing up, another man's trash is another man's treasure, and for me, there's movies that I watch and love them, and people look at me like I'm nuts because they're like, "How can you enjoy that type of movie?" But that's the kind of one of the cool things about the horror movie stuff is like there can be so many different things that I watch and be like, "Man, I find that just so bad." And then like my brother watches it, and he's like, "Man, I fucking love that movie." And like me and him went back and forth on Skinnamarink-a-Dink or whatever the name of that movie was, you know. And me and
Yep.
him went back and forth because he was one of those that just loved it. And I'm sitting there like, if I wanted to stare at a damn corner, I would just sit in my house and just stare at the corner of the ceiling for an hour and a half. But that's just. But with the independence, is like I always feel a little bit bad when I'm watching it and I get on here and I talk and I make jokes about it because that is somebody's that's their baby. That'd be like me making fun of somebody's kid. Look at that
Fair
look
enough.
at
Fair
that
enough.
ugly kid. But that's their baby, you know.
Well, I just think it's difficult because it's like, whether it's the Hollywood level or independent level, and again, it's something me and my friends talk about all the time. It's like, okay, you and I have lived roughly the same amount of years on this planet. How many great movies, forget independent for a second, how many great movies have you seen? And if you think about, let's say, an average of 200 Hollywood movies come out a year, out of 200 a year, how many have you seen that you would qualify as great movies through your lifetime? It's actually a really small percentage when you think about it. Now, you may have a ton of favorites, but if you're talking about 200 a year for 40 to 50 years, I'm terrible at math, but you get my point. It's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So when you think about that and you only think about like, wow, but there's only a few that are just so great. They're just timeless, and they span through generations. And it's like, wow, that's it. That's all that's been like truly great. So it is really difficult, no matter what level you're at, to really make a good, impactful film that sticks with people. And, when you're talking about today, when we've been somewhat desensitized, whether you want to call it horror, action, whatever, the first time you see Christopher Reeve fly,
Mm.
it was mind blowing.
Yeah.
But now when you see Superman fly, and I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting it down, but I'm just saying we have already seen this. So
Mm.
to get to a now desensitized audience on every level, no matter what genre you're talking about, and still be effective is extremely impressive. So it's like you take something like, maybe the greatest inspirational movie of all time, Rocky.
Oh, I was gonna say
And
Forrest Gump.
okay, yeah.
I'm a
Hey,
Gump
pick
fan.
whatever works for you. And you take whatever that is, and yet you can make 100 other Rocky. There's been 100 other Rocky type movies in different sports, hockey, football, whatever, baseball. So to make another impactful Rocky is near impossible because we've been so desensitized. So again, and George Lucas had a great quote, and that I like to use a lot. It's like, look, everything's been done, but everything has not been done by you.
Oh yeah.
So it's my Mr. Sandman has been done before. The Fear of Dark has been done before. The childhood fears have been done before. But I didn't let that stop me because I know it hadn't been done by me yet. So this is my translation of those fears. And I hope that it lands on the world because it's only been out for 2 weeks. I hope it lands on the world the way I want it to. But I respect everyone for, as my producer always says, swinging the bat. Swing the bat, take the shot, absolutely, go for it, because you don't know what's going to land on people, in a certain way. And you don't know what's going to be a hit and what's not. So you do your best, be a good storyteller, and, let the chips fall where they may. But absolutely, if you have a passion for this stuff, you have the time to dedicate to it, which, believe me, is really difficult to come across,
Yeah.
especially when you are me with a full-time job and very active kids, and but if you have a passion for it, swing the bat, go for it.
Yeah, and I like that fact that what you said because I would I've caught myself doing that before where people will do a movie and they kind of look at it and be like, well, they're just copying off of this particular movie or stuff like that. And like you said, it's that's their idea of this particular whatever it may be, slasher, whatever. That's their take on it. But and that's why for me, I'm a lot of people hate on like remakes of like older horror movies and stuff like that. Me, I like a remake because I like seeing what somebody else's spin's going to be on it. Because
Right.
I look at it this way, like recently I've watched the new Salem's Lot. You know,
Okay.
the original 1976 one, I believe, and then we get this remake. Now, I don't know how, today's kids think because, I can't my mind doesn't work that way. But I would think like if I had to put a movie out and I was going to do let's just say Salem's Lot, you know, if I sit down to somebody, 17, 18 years old and I'm sit them down and I slide in front of them something that says 1976 on it, a lot of them just going to kind of be like, I don't, they're not going to get into it. It's not going to get their attention. But I
Right.
slide across them a 2024 movie called Salem's Lot, and then it kind of gets it gets their attention. And that's why I am okay with remakes. And don't get me wrong, there are some shitty ones. There's been some people who have dropped the damn ball on some remakes. Nightmare on Elm Street, that one. But it's still a different, like you said, that's somebody else's spin on it, just like you with the Sandman. Yeah, there's been movies about the dark. There's been movies that's it's there, but it's your view on it, and that's why I like that with independent a lot because it is their this particular person. There's not a crew of people sitting there around the big tables, figuring out what we're going to write. It's just
Right.
your idea. You're able to put that shit on paper, and to me, that's one of the things that I wish I had that. It don't. I don't have that the same way with like songwriting and stuff like that. To to sit down and have this idea in your head and being able to put it out on paper and then be able to go through and actually do it. And that's why I said that's the babies. That's your babies because you had
Right.
this idea, you put it on paper, and now here it is where people can watch it. Like they get to see your idea. And to me that's so fucking cool. I like it. And I'm telling you all right now, people, get your asses over there, family, and Mr. Sandman. And then go back and watch the challenge, damn it. Let that 26-minute movie take you on a ride that is not 26 minutes. But yeah, it
Thank
is
you.
but yeah, I enjoyed it. And you sent me the link to watch the Mr. Sandman. What was it called? The stash? What I can't
Yeah, we Mr. Sandman was is being distributed by Film Hub.
okay.
So Stash on YouTube was one of the channels that licensed it. So it also might be starting to show up soon on other platforms soon. But I'm not one to counting chickens before they hatch, so
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything yet. But there are other platforms that have licensed it, so um, it might be releasing in the near future on other platforms. But right now, yeah, it's but to simplify it for your audience, all they have to do is just go on YouTube and type in Mr. Sandman horror
Yeah.
movie, because if they get caught up in trying to find the staff's channel and all that stuff, it's just another channel on YouTube. So yeah, if you just type in Mr. Sandman horror movie, it'll pop right up.
Yep. And like I said, family, if you're listening to this, if you're on the YouTube, if you're on the, on the podcast, all the links are going to be there. On all our social media, I'm going to have the links to the YouTube. So you can just go there also, and going to make it a simple, because family, me, I'm simple minded, damn it. And so yeah, it's all going to be there. Go watch it, go like, subscribe, follow along, and support that. Go support it, man. I am all for bringing attention to independence. And hey, man, I like what you're doing. I like the creative side that you got, and just
Thank you.
keep fucking killing it, man. I'm a fan.
Thank you very much.
And I appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with us. I just, it's an honor to me to have people that do what you do. It's like almost like a kind of like a fanboy type moment where it's like, holy shit, like you did this. Like, it's cool.
Oh, I mean, it's just an honor to be here, and it's an honor to have people, appreciate what you do. So thank you for that. Thank you for having me as a guest and taking your time out.
Oh yeah, more. We are happy to. And like I said, there's a seat at the Fright Flick table anytime. Like whatever
Thank
you
you.
got coming up, there's something you want to talk about, hey, you just let me know. And like I said, the seat's at the table, man. Like you can come hang out here anytime you want. And
Appreciate that.
yeah, and I am super excited that I got to do this, and I get to share it, and it already like as soon as I watched them, I like sent the links to my brother. I'm like, oh, this is who I'm talking to tonight. Yeah, here's the videos, because he's the same way I am. We get into like the like I'm a fan of like as much underground type horror as I can come across, those types of independence to, there's nothing I won't watch. I tell people all the time, there's nothing when it comes to horror that I will not watch. That I will sit there and watch anything. And but for me, it's the independent side of it. That's just what that does it for me. I like them, and that's one of the things. If I see a new movie, that's one of the first thing I'm looking like is this independent, type stuff. And I love them, and I look forward to what you got coming, man. I know you're going to do some fucking badass things, and I look
Oh,
forward.
I'll keep trying.
Yeah.
I will keep trying.
Yep. And tell the little girl she killed it in the Sandman, and that I feel sorry. I felt bad that her mother drug her back to the room. Damn it. I was
Well,
mom.
if you want, I could. Do you want her to say a quick hello?
Oh, can she?
I Give me 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, this
Just
is awesome.
entertain your audience for a minute.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Hi.
Well, hello.
Hello.
Hey, I'm a fan.
Yay, thank you.
Oh yeah. I was like, hey, I told your dad. I was like, when I'm watching this movie, I felt like I was there with you, trying to get up and down them stairs. I was
Thank you
like,
so much.
no, you did so good. And like I felt so bad when you got to the top stairs and you dropped the rabbit. And I was like, where's the
Dogs.
rabbit? Where's the rabbit? And then I told your
But it's
dad,
okay. Got
yeah, you did.
it.
And, like when you're up in your room and you're laying there and when I seen you looking over there to the side, and it was like you could see something there. I seen it too. I seen it. Like when you're looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's something in the floor. There's something there, you know. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
go get mama. Go get your mama.
Uh, my mom's not here right now. She's not here right now.
She met the. He met.
I meant the movie mama.
You met
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie?
Yeah, he met Mackenzie.
Yeah, she is asleep right now, or she's that white demon. She's not here right now.
She was scary
So
though. She was
she's not
scary.
gonna come. Yeah, she's not gonna come and save me, but it's okay.
No, but
I'll
you
save
did.
myself.
It was great. You did so good.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, I think it's super cool that you get to come on here. I did not. This is a surprise. I didn't expect to get to have the star of the movie right here with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you taking some time out coming over
But I
here.
also wanted to prove to you that she was safe and sound, and
Yeah, this is
we
true.
got her through. We
Yeah.
got her through. Okay.
The white faced lady did not drag you off somewhere. You're still here with us.
Yay.
She's still here with us.
Yeah, except when I also
A little older, a little older, a little wiser.
How old was I filmed it? Like when I started filming it?
We started in 21. So yeah, you were actually you were 9 when we started. And we finished when you were 12. So yeah.
Wow.
So I broke my arm a while ago, but did that set me back? Too?
Yeah, we did have. She broke her arm, not during filming, but on another incident, on a trampoline incident, and we had to stop filming for a little while. But
shucks.
But she made it through that too, and is stronger than ever.
Are you going to keep doing it? You're going to keep
being of course.
The next screen queen?
She's got the acting bug.
Of course.
Nice.
She's got the acting bug. So
yeah,
we'll see where this takes her.
Hey, we look forward to seeing what's coming next. Hey, but I appreciate you taking some time out and hanging out with us.
He's my best friend. I love him.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming on, taking some time out. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Night.
Night. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Make sure that door is closed for me. Okay.
This door?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So yeah,
that was super cool. That was super cool. I like that.
Get a quick hello in.
No, that's cool. I like that. But yeah, it is. Like I said, I look forward to it, man. Whatever you got coming next, and whatever it may be. If it's something you ever want to bring some attention to on here, you just hit me up, man. And
I will definitely let you know. I don't have anything planned yet. Just some general ideas I'm toying with in my head.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And like I said, but the seat's always here anytime. Even if there's anytime, if you see a movie you just want to get on here and ramble on about, shit. I'm always
I'm always for talking movies. I love talking movies. So.
Yeah. And so yeah, I would be more than happy to. I'm always looking for, somebody to come on here with me, and because sometimes I do it by myself, and I've gotten better at just talking to myself for 45 minutes to an hour. It just makes it a little easier when there's somebody there to kind of bounce some stuff off of back and forth. But
keep me posted, and if you ever want me to talk to you and your brother, whatever, just reach out, and whenever both schedules line up, we can work that out.
Awesome, man. That sounds good. And like I said, I've had a blast, and I appreciate you again coming on here and let me get to check your movie out and talk to you about it. And but yeah, everything's gonna be on the social media. Go like, subscribe. He's on Instagram. Go show the support. We support the independents around here, family. You all know this. But once again, Matt, I appreciate you again, brother, coming on here.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you so much for having me.
Yep. And this is that time of the show, family. You all know how we do it around here. I need you all to reach over. I need you all to grab your drinks. I need you to put your chairs away, gather up all your shit, and get the fuck out of here.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We have such sights to show you.
Ha! Monsters!
All you have left is my desire.
My name is Frankenstein!
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
See this? This is my boomstick!
I ate his liver with some fava beans. Nice candy. This mess is good.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
It's alive! It's alive!
Here's Johnny. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Welcome to the debauchery.